Hi, my name's Matt and I'd like to welcome you to this Zinyak ITIL 4 video. This is part of our Create, Deliver and Support course, and it talks about the importance of creating and maintaining a continual improvement culture. A continual improvement culture is important because it improves the customer experience. So clearly we're trying to improve everything, but particularly focused on the customer. Improving the customer experience is going to be one of our key focuses. And it embeds good practice, and it is important to embed good practice. When we improve something, it needs to become part of our standard practice. We don't want to fall back into old ways of doing things. It reduces cost. Clearly, reducing cost is going to be one of the key focuses of continual improvement. It improves operational efficiency. It develops employee experiences, and this is very much aligned with happy employees create happy customers. So if our employees are happy, if they're engaged, if they have better experiences, it will enable them to deliver better service, better customer experiences. It accelerates delivery. It makes us more efficient and effective. It removes waste and repetitive tasks, and the removal of waste, obviously a key focus, or the focus of lean, and Axelos has with ITIL 4 really adopted, if not copied lean, but it's adopted all the principles and priorities of lean. So yeah, absolutely reducing waste is a key focus of everyone every day, and that helps us improve efficiency and effectiveness, and it reduces risk. So both bringing certainty to uncertain situations, we know that risk is uncertainty, but also reducing the likelihood of the bad thing happening and reducing the impact if it does, and that's all part of continual improvement. It is important to note that this won't happen by magic. Yeah, we don't have a magic wand that we can wave and go, oh, we've created a continual improvement culture. We're not Harry Potter. So what we need to do is we need to address it seriously. We need to have a plan in place for how we're going to create the continual improvement culture, and really address that as any other improvement initiatives, whether we run it using the continual improvement model or as a project. It doesn't really matter whatever is applicable for your organisation, but it is important that we address it sensibly and professionally. And we shouldn't rely on key individuals. So often in organisations, they just rely on some key individuals, some critical people to create, to improve. And the problem with that is if they leave, then it can go away. So if we just rely on one or two key individuals to create that culture, if they leave the organisation, then we could lose that culture, or the focus on continual improvement could drop. So we want to embed it as part of our processes and procedures, so we're not reliant upon any individual. A continual improvement culture involves several management supported activities, such as defining what behaviours are expected of our staff, ensuring that we have a professional attitude. And I just want to talk a little bit about a professional attitude. What is a professional attitude? Well, think about your own life. In your own life, there's your profession, there's what you do professionally, i.e. what you get paid for, and there are things that you enjoy and you may spend a lot of time doing. So whatever your leisure activities are, whether it's playing some form of sport or music or arts or whatever it is, and generally speaking, your leisure activities, you're not as good at those leisure activities as you are at your professional job where you're getting paid. And often the difference is just about efficiency and effectiveness, that in order to be as effective, you maybe become less efficient if you're not doing it every day, if it's not your focus every day. And that's really the professional attitude of being not just effective but efficient as well, having both efficiency and effectiveness and really focusing on outcomes for the customers. it's important to have positive language. I was talking to my dad, bless him, who was 80 this week, and he's kind of, and he knows it. He's kind of renowned in our family for being unenthusiastic about anything. So his kind of default thing is, "Did you enjoy that, Dad?" It was all right. It was okay. It's not negative, but just not enthusiastic. And I said, why don't you try to be more enthusiastic? So if somebody says, how are you? Instead of said, I'm okay, say, I'm great, I'm fantastic, I'm doing really well. How are you doing? And actually, if you use that positive language, it can help you feel more positive. And when it comes to improvement, in order to improve, we need to change. And it really does help if we're positive about it. If we believe that the change, if we expect the change to improve things, to make things better, and we're positive and we use positive language, it makes a big difference, particularly when we come up against the inevitable problems and issues. If we're positive, those problems and issues tend to seem to be smaller. They seem to be, we will feel we can overcome them. Whereas if we use less positive language, those problems and issues may seem greater and it may seem more difficult to overcome them. So positive language is really important. And supporting meetings, and we talk about in many ITIL modules, we talk about the importance of being supportive and people feeling safe, that they can express opinions, that they can be creative and come up with ideas, and they won't be put down. And nothing, absolutely nothing kills idea generation more than someone saying, well, that's a rubbish idea. That'll never work. Yeah. So particularly important if you are having a brainstorming session where you're trying to come up with ideas for improvement. It's really important that you have a phase of the meeting where you come up with lots of ideas and people are just generating ideas. And during that phase, nobody evaluates the ideas. You just record them. You just record the ideas, and when you've got all your ideas and you can't come up with any new ideas, then and only then can you go and start to evaluate them. But there are no bad ideas. Every idea is, it's a good idea. It's we might not be able to implement them. It might not be feasible at this moment in time. There may be reasons we don't go ahead with them, but there are no bad ideas. Every idea is good, and view it that way. Well, we came up with this idea and we've evaluated it, and it won't give us the benefits we want. It's not cost justifiable, whatever. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea, because actually it's been useful to cross that off our list as a possible improvement. So that's a positive thing. And again, it goes back to that positive language, professional attitudes, supporting each other. So managers need to actively show that they follow these principles themselves to build trust. Yeah, so it can't be just they talk the talk. They've got to walk the walk as well. Yeah, so they've got to do it themselves. It can't be, well, you guys need to do it, but I won't. Yeah, we've got to follow what we say, and be consistent in that. Some individuals will take longer to change, will need more support. Some people are naturally more resistant to change, but that's part of that creating the continual improvement culture, is that people feel more able to change, that people are more positive to change so they can change quicker. And it is necessary in the modern world to be able to change quickly. And that's what Agile is all about, really. When we look at Agile project management or Agile service delivery, it's about being able to change quickly, change direction, change focus quickly, not just a low level, but a high organisation level if necessary. All stakeholders need to understand the importance of a positive attitude. And I've spoken a lot about having that positive attitude, and it really does make a big difference. And we've talked about before about attitude, behaviour, culture. What consists of culture, where it's the combined behaviours of everyone in the organisation. What drives people's behaviour? Their attitude. So we want a positive attitude to improvement, to change. That will help create the right behaviours. That will help create the continual improvement culture. Collaboration, working together, not having silos. So yes, have specialist teams, that's fine. Of course, that's useful. So the server team can speak together, the network team can speak together about their particular issues. That's all good. Nothing wrong with that, but we don't want them to become siloed. We don't want them to see, the server team see the network team as the enemy, the network team see the desktop team as the enemy. That's no good. So we've got to be collaborative. Transparent working. We don't feel we've got to hide things. Oh, don't want to see what people are doing. Don't want people to see what I'm doing. I'm a bit worried if they see what I'm doing. We want within the boundaries of information security. So obviously we've got to manage information security correctly, but we want to be transparent. And the idea is that the more transparent we are, the more people can view a piece of work, the more likely someone will either spot any issues if there are any, spot bugs and problems, and we can fix them. And we talked about, in shift left in the previous video, if you're following them in order, in shift left, we talked about the importance of that, of spotting bugs as early as possible, because the sooner you spot a problem, the lower the cost to fix it. So that's a big part of transparency, but also spotting opportunities for improvement. So the more people who can view it, the more ideas we can get for improvement. And being receptive, people have got to be receptive to that. They've got to be receptive to people saying, have you tried this? This might help. This might make it better. Not kind of, I know what I'm doing, I'm the professional, don't talk to me. Yeah, so we've got to be receptive to people offering help and advice. It doesn't mean we have to do it. Just be receptive to that and say, yeah, I'll consider that, and look at it and really consider it seriously, not just say it, actually consider it. And if it is appropriate, then adopt it, obviously. And that's part of the supportive culture, that people feel able to offer help and advice, and that people receive that help and advice in a positive spirit, in a positive way. And if someone offers you help and advice and you receive it, if you choose not to, if you properly evaluate that help and advice and it's not applicable, then go back to them. Don't just ignore them. Say, thank you for that offer of advice, that suggestion. I have looked into it. I'm not going to go ahead with it because, and that's helping them. That's giving them help back, because they can then increase their knowledge about why their suggestion wasn't applicable in your situation. So it works both ways, and that's a key part of developing as individuals, but as a team, when we help each other, is always trying to give back more than you receive. That's a really good positive message, and that will encourage individuals to make suggestions. If people make suggestions, if I suggest something to you and then you don't do it, but you don't tell me why you haven't done it, I'll just think, well, there's no point suggesting anything to them because they just ignore you. Yeah. But if you come back to me and say, thanks for that suggestion, Matt, this is why I haven't implemented it, then I know you're taking it down. Will be more likely to suggest other things to you and be more receptive if you suggest something to me. So the key elements of a continual improvement culture are transparency. And I've just spoken about transparency. It creates openness, it creates trust. It's really, really important that we are as transparent as we can, and that's a real cultural thing. Management by example. Again, we've spoken about that before. So management is leading. It's not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. Building trust. All that helps build trust. The workplace should be a comfort zone where individuals feel supported to suggest, experiment with, and implement new ideas. It's that safe culture. I feel safe. I don't feel threatened. I'm much more able to experiment. And that's very much if you have, or if you do in the future, young children, if you've come across young children, that's one of the things they talk about in terms of developing young children, is providing them with an environment. the sandpit where they feel safe. If they feel safe, they're more likely to experiment and grow as individuals. But if they feel threatened, then they won't. So that's what we want for it in the workplace as well. We want a safe environment. So the following positive behaviours should be encouraged: recruitment, hire the right sort of people with appropriate skills. Onboarding, brand values and expectations should be clearly and practically applied from the employee's first days with the organisation. Yes, so fairly recently, over the last couple of years, my son and daughter have both left university and gone into their first jobs. And I'd say both organisations they joined did that pretty well. You know, kind of day one, they were welcomed into the organisation and made to feel a part of it. So, I mean, some of it's just basic stuff, you know, getting the ID lanyard, maybe getting a mobile phone, a laptop. I think my son got a credit card for expenses as well because he's working as a consultant. But it'll vary from organisation to organisation, but it's really making people feel part. And if you wear a uniform, then obviously you're given a uniform. It might not be that, but it's just kind of, you're part of us now. This is who we are. This is how we work together. As opposed to, just to give you what I consider, I hope you will, a really bad example. I know a WPC, a woman police constable who joined the Metropolitan Police in London, and her onboarding experience in a new police station was that she had her bottom bared. They pulled her trousers or pants in America, and knickers down to bare her bottom, and stamped it with an ink confidential stamp. So they kind of attacked her basically, got her on the floor, pulled her trousers down, pulled her knickers down, and stamped her bottom, and that was her initiation. Which I hope you all, I certainly find that completely unacceptable, and that's kind of the other extreme of bad onboarding. It doesn't say much about their brand values, really, does it? So hopefully, I mean, that was a little bit in the past. Hopefully, that doesn't go on anymore. But you know, do be careful about the onboarding. So we want them to feel part of the team, and we might be a bit, you know, like to have a laugh and a joke, but we've got to know where the acceptable line is as well. Meeting culture. Yeah, great one. I worked for PA Consulting, and they had their meeting culture. We had little cards that said good meeting practice on them, and it was start on time, finish on time, follow the agenda, stick to the agenda, no side meetings, and follow up. Yeah, so you know, record actions and agreements, and people did. And sometime later, I joined a different organisation. I won't name them and shame them, but I joined a different organisation, and I was invited to a meeting on, I think it was probably my first week, 10 o'clock or whatever time it was, and I turned up a little bit before because I like to be on time, so I was maybe there a couple of minutes before 10 in the meeting room, and nobody else was there waiting. It was kind of 10 o'clock. Maybe I've got it wrong. I waited around for 5 minutes. Nobody turned up, so I went back to my desk, checked the meeting invitation. Yeah, 10 o'clock. I had the right time, had the right place. They must have cancelled it and not told me. Carried on working. About 20 past 10, somebody came to me and said, Matt, are you coming to this meeting? What meeting? The 10 o'clock meeting. You mean the 10 o'clock meeting in the meeting room set 12? Yeah. I was there at 10 o'clock in meeting room 12. Nobody was there. Oh, well, we're all there now. Would you like to join us? Well, not so much. I mean, I was free between 10 and 10:30, but it's now 20 past. I haven't got time now. You know, I've started doing something else. You know, what is that about? So that was, for me, that was very bad. You know, it's if you're going to have a meeting, start on time. Make sure everybody's there. Again, it's that professional attitude. Language and taxonomy. So taxonomy is just how we classify things, and you do need to be careful about how you classify things. So if you classify things clearly at the right level, it can really help. But if you misclassify things, or you try and get too many classifications, it can really hinder. So to give you my favorite simple example, music. So if we're classifying music maybe in a record store or online streaming service, whatever it might be, if we have classifications that are rock, pop, classical, jazz, heavy metal, that's quite helpful. Yeah, so you can pick this kind of broad genre of music you like and listen to that. Or, you know, if you like most music but you don't like a particular type, you could discount that and look at the rest or listen to the rest. But if we take one genre and subclassify it, so if we take heavy metal and then split it up into speed metal, death metal, black metal, reggae metal, new wave of British heavy metal, and on and on and on, and they have, yeah, there's about 100 different subcategories of heavy metal. That's really not helpful. Yeah, that's really not helpful. Where's Motorhead? You know, is it speed metal? Is it new wave British heavy metal? Is it, what is it? Where is it? Oh, you've classified it under punk because Lemmy said they were a punk band. Okay then. But you know, it's too much. So in your taxonomy, make sure it's clear and helpful and supports what you're trying to achieve. Every employee and stakeholder should expect to engage in continual improvement. Absolutely. So it's everyone's job every day. So we shouldn't expect the organisation, the management, to periodically come up with big projects for organisational improvement, and that's how we will improve. The way we should expect to improve is that every individual improves just a little bit every day. Just a little bit every day. And most improvement is that. It's just you and a colleague saying, you know what, maybe if we did this way rather than that way, it'd be better. What do you think? Yeah, I think that might work. Yeah, should we try it? Yeah, okay then. And you try it and it works and you improve. Yeah, so most improvement is just that low level stuff, and that's what in Lean they refer to as Kaizen. So it's partly the culture of thinking how can I make things better, and it's my job to make things better, and I want to make things better every day. But it's also the fact that most improvement are just small little improvements. But we may have larger improvements as well. So clarifying the following will contribute to initiative success. How do you raise an improvement idea? I've got a great idea. Who should I tell? How do I tell them? Do I email it? Is there an online portal? Do I tell my manager? How do I let people know about my idea? What happens to improvement ideas after they have been raised? Are they reviewed and actioned? And again, it's important if you want people to make suggestions that they know that you're going to take them seriously. So that doesn't mean you have to implement them. It just means that you have to review them. And once you've reviewed them, let them know the outcome. So it's perfectly acceptable to go back to them and say, thank you for your suggestion. We've reviewed it. We're not going to implement it because, but it's not acceptable to just say, thanks for your improvement idea, and then not implement it and then not tell them why. You need to go back. If you don't tell them why, they'll just feel they're being ignored, and it'll make them much less likely to suggest new ideas. And that goes for employees and customers as well, particularly important with customers. What are the decision timescales and how will the outcomes be communicated? So how we're going to have that conversation, whether it's we're not going ahead with it or we are. What are the other sources of input? So customers, employees, business management. Yeah. So not where do we get improvement ideas from? So in summary, what challenges are there that we have to overcome? So changing an existing culture is challenging and requires bravery, commitment, and persistence. Yeah, so it's much easier if you've got a new organisation, you've got a new digital organisation, you're a new startup in San Francisco or Cambridge or wherever, to just create a great continual improvement culture. If you're embedded in a a long-standing organisation that's been around for a while and don't really have a continual improvement culture, it's much more difficult to create one. So you've got to be brave, you've got to want to do it, you've got to be committed to do it, and you've got to persist and just keep going until you succeed. Ongoing and visible support from senior leaders is required. Certainly I've come across it where, you know, senior leaders have kind of flavour of the day, and it's like, oh, continual improvement culture is really important. And then, oh no, something else is really important. Then, you know, they kind of get bored. They're like a goldfish. You know, they get, well, I'm bored with that now. What's the next thing? They need to have ongoing and visible support for so people know it's important. It's not going to be forgotten about. It's not just flavour of the month. It's flavour of the organisation forever. Transparency can often be mistrusted and misunderstood. Yeah, if the people don't feel safe, if they've got experience, and it is about people's experience, if you feel people are being obstructive, if you feel they're being unhelpful, talk to them about their past experiences. It's very likely that something in their past career, maybe not in this organisation, maybe in a previous organisation, has led them to mistrust, particularly transparency. Or if when I make things transparent, then I just get in trouble. It makes problems for me, and so I don't want to do it. Yeah, but it's based on past experience. Managers need to lead by example. We've talked about that. So it's no good just talking the talk. You've got to walk the walk. To build trust, everyone needs to follow through on their promises, and it's really important that we're clear. We don't have those weasel words of kind of, oh, but yeah, but no, but, you know, the small print. Yeah, when I said that, I didn't really mean that. And yeah, we've got to be clear and honest to build trust. All ideas should be visibly reviewed, responses given in agreed timeframes, and the participants thanked and rewarded. And, you know, reward can be a number of things. Certainly, when I worked for IBM, they had an improvement scheme initiative, and the reward was they just give you a pin badge for your lapel. And but it did kind of work. I made a suggestion. I got a pin badge to put on my lapel. I was the most junior member of the team. I got the pin badge on my lapel, and everybody else was like, "Why have you got that pin badge?" It was like, "Well, I made a suggestion," and they were all like, "Oh, I better make a suggestion then." It might be more than that. Certainly, as part of that scheme, there were a couple of people who made suggestions that saved the organisation lots of money. I mean, one of them was as simple as setting the default for the printers to be two-sided printing rather than single-sided, and that saved the organisation over £1 million a year. And they got a percentage of that. I think they got something quite high. It was something like 10% of the first year savings. So they didn't get it forever, but 10% of the first year savings. So it was a significant thing. And the final point, organisational change management will help you succeed. So organisation change management, those of you certainly who did ITIL practitioner under version 3 will know all about organisational change management because it was a big part of ITIL practitioner under version 3. It is included within version 4. And organisation change management is really all about the people aspects of change. So how individuals, their human emotional reactions to change, and particularly big change, and how you deal with that and how you gain support. So that will definitely help you succeed. Right, okay, so that's completes our continual improvement culture video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, because then you will get notifications. Switch on notifications, then you will get notifications when we post new videos, and we do always, and we will continue to post new videos free on YouTube, so you can preview them on YouTube for free. So do make sure you're subscribed and get the notifications. All that's left for me to say is, until you see me again, have a great day.